first things first, starting from the setting, going to this part here, user option. You can choose your preferred color theme and size, which I prefer the compressed. And in the preferences, something very important here is the date, time and number format, which you should always choose this one, TR with small letters, and your time zone depending on which country or city you are living in, and the country and region TUR, as you can see here. And in the account tab, what we have to choose here is the email provider ID as graph, which is also very important. And nothing left here. After clicking on save, you can just easily click on the external refresh, and that's it. We are ready to go. So after taking care of the settings here, let's go for opening a project quotation. Imagine you have received a request from a customer, and now you are going to open a file and transfer all the items that you have in that Excel file from the customer to Dynamics using these models here. Going through the project management and accounting, we can see the all project tab here. We can also turn this little star here on to move this all project to our favorite tab here, as you can see. So by clicking on it, we have this all project window here open. So what we need to pay attention to is to always keep the legal entity as AVS here, the show levels as all, and the show projects as all again. So in this way you can find your vessels very easy. So you can find your vessel name using this tab here, vessel name, column, and the vessel, which let's move them like this, the vessel name as well. Remember, you can always hide these columns. So as you can see, I have this vessel column, the IMO numbers duplicated, so I'm going to hide one of them. Very easy, hide this column, and now I have the vessel name and the vessel IMO numbers. So by clicking on this little arrow here, using this box, I write my vessel name as Nihat M, clicking on apply, and I can see my project groups related to this vessel. Remember, in case you cannot find your vessel name, I mean, considering the differences between the English and Turkish keyboard, probably you may have some hard times finding your vessel name here. You can always use this columns filter as well by just writing the IMO number of your vessel all the time. So anyway, I've just found my vessel here, and depending on the department that you are working in, you can use you can choose your project group here as on, offshore, Nordic, AVS Greece, global supply, domestic, and contracted for the catering vessels. So in my case, this vessel is a contracted vessel in our catering department. So I choose this one by clicking on it, and as you can see, the blue tick here. And by going to the Manage tab, below the New section here, clicking on Project Quotation, now we are going to open the project quotation for this vessel. So by choosing the port, I'm just choosing Valencia, for example. You can easily choose it using your mouse, and the ETA and the departure date, for example. Your currency, of the contracted vessel, I mean whatever you prefer, and the agency detail. And by clicking on OK, Dynamics redirects you to project quotation screen. For now, with this tab, we have nothing to do with this tab, and so you can easily collapse it here. So what we need is the line tab, and here is where you can add your items requested from your customer side. So the way that we add items is actually quite simple. I will explain to you, and you can always also reach me in regard with any questions that you have. So clicking on add line, I can just choose the transaction type as item. For all the items, it must be shown as item. The item number, I can choose one item here, and just I can just write random things here, and for the product name as well. So after filling these 4 column here, type, number, group, and name, you can click on this open in Microsoft Office part here, and after clicking, you can see the option of exporting this to an external Excel file. So when you click on quotation lines, you can have an Excel file downloaded, which I have my own file already prepared, which you can see here. So here, let's check the columns together, starting from the transaction type. Let me have Dynamics open. So as you can see, we have nothing to do with the line number, as it's generated automatically. So let's start with the transaction type, our first column, item number, our second column, product group, our third column, product name, our fourth column, brand, remark, customer quantity, customer unit. That's all we need. So in this case, I have my list ready. From the first column, which is the transaction type, to the last column, which is customer unit, I can easily copy. You can always change these product group or department numbers depending on what you prefer, but this is my way of doing this. So after copying this, going back to Dynamics, you can just remove this item, add a new one, and from the transaction type, which, as I said, has to be mentioned as item all the time, you can just easily paste what you copied from the Excel file. So in here, after pasting those items from your Excel file using your codes and quantities and the units, so before you click on save, you can always check if everything goes correct and in order. So I have my item numbers here, I have my product groups here, I have my product name here, brand and remark columns are empty, and the customer quantity and the customer unit. So if I click save, it continues, and if I now click on discard, it removes all of them. So let's say you see some mistakes here and you are trying to fix them. So I click on discard, I go back to my Excel file, which I always have it on my desktop. For example, I want to make some changes in this part of the customer quantity. Let's make the eggs as 1080 and the drinking water as 2400 liters. That's okay. And remember, always enter all the items by code. It would be easier here to find the codes here in the Excel file, or you can do it manually in the Dynamics. Doesn't matter, it's up to you. So clicking on item and the customer unit for all the items. After copying them, going back to the Dynamics, and from the transaction type, which was the first column of our Excel file, our Excel template, we can just easily use Ctrl V to paste and check again. The product name is correct, everything goes in order, the product group, the item number, transaction type, and the line number, which is going to be generated automatically. So I click save, and as you can see, it's generating the items one by one. Now let's say I'm going to have some additional items here. For additionals, as you can see in my Excel format, I have things ready. The first column is transaction type, which must be mentioned as item as always, the item code, the items, and the customer quantity and customer unit. We don't need these here. So the only thing changed here is the product group or the product department. As you can see, the previous one was mentioned as 101 dash provision, but for the additionals, as the second department here, or let's say the second division, I have it as 102 dash additional. So I copy this one as well. I go back to the Dynamics. So now imagine now you want to add some more items in Dynamics. So what you do here is click on the last item. It doesn't matter where, just you can just click somewhere. So as you can see, this blue tick, which means this last line is already selected. You click on add line, and in this new item line added, you can just easily paste the items that you just copied from your Excel file. So as you can see, everything is in order. The customer quantity, the unit, item names, and the department name or the division name, or as we call it in Dynamics, the product group, is mentioned as 102. And by clicking on save, it generates the line number here as well. And in case let's say you have some expenses, or I don't know, you are not sure, let's say, about the expenses of the port, the additional expenses. I mean, if you're 100% sure that there is no any extra expenses in that port, then you don't need to do this. But in case you are not sure if there would be any expenses, any extra expenses in this port of call, what you can do is you can choose one of these and you can always rename them. Let's rename this as extra expenses. And now using the same format you can easily copy, so you can see the code. The expense codes are different, they have their own code, but you can rename them anytime. And the product group, as you can see, it must be a number bigger than these two divisions, the additional and the provision. In case this number here is not bigger than these numbers here, then the expenses are going to be shown at the beginning of your list. So that's why we are choosing a bigger number here. So if we copy this from here with the greater number, which is 190, we copy it, we go back to the dynamics, we click on the last item, we click on add line, and from here we just simply copy and paste the items from our Excel file to Dynamics by clicking on right click paste, or easily Ctrl V on your keyboard. As you can see, all the remarks here are mentioned and everything is clear here, and you just click on save. Units is correct and the expenses must be always mentioned as 1 pieces. So here we have all our items added into Dynamics. And as you can see here, there is also another ability of Dynamics which I want to mention. Here on any of the columns that you prefer, which in my case is product group, you can right click and choose the group by this column filter. So in this way you are going to have all your divisions and your groups separated here. As you can see, you have the expense, the additional and the provision as 3 separated group. And after checking all these items and the details, and if everything is in order and correct, so what you need to do is to click on the project quotation tab, and by clicking on create RFQ, you are going to create your RFQ file in the Dynamics database, and you can just easily right click on this tab here to expand, or you can just easily click on this small arrow here to expand this here, and you can see the RFQ file which is created for this quotation, and you can just use this shortcut to go inside, and here it is, all your files ready to send to the vendor or the supplier. And also in case you don't want to use that shortcut, you can always come to models, the procurement and sourcing, and through this screen you can always find your RFQ file which we just created together. And also don't remember to turn this little star here on, so you can add it into your favorite tab here. So by clicking on this, instead of using that shortcut, you can just easily find your name by filtering the requester column, by writing your name here and clicking on apply, and here is my file which I recently created. You can see the project name here, I can name the project name after my own name, and by clicking on this link here I can just get inside this RFQ file. So now we are ready to send these items to our vendor by clicking on the header here. As you can see, the header section. So in the vendor tab we can add our suppliers by clicking on add, and you can write your supplier name. For example, in this case we need suppliers in Spain, which is Ace Maritimo, and the second one I'm going for Suiza. And remember, in case you're trying to add a supplier out of this country which you mentioned as the port of call, you can always use this filter here. For the country and region you can clear and apply and write the name as, for example, Atlas, which is in another country, in Turkey. And you can see we have the Atlas International here, and remember you can always make it like a bit wider so you can see the whole name. So as you can see here, for a supply in Spain I can choose another supply which is located in another country. So but as it was just an example, I just don't need it, and I can just remove it simply by clicking on remove. So after choosing your suppliers and let's say your vendors, under the quotation section, under the process, as you can see here, by clicking on send and publish, you can just send these items to your required vendors for them in order to send you their offers. So in here we can use this ability again as the product group. You can right click on it and say group by this column. So after choosing that, you have your divisions and your groups separated: expenses, additionals, and provision items. So for example, let's say you don't want to send the additional items to Ace Maritimo. You choose Ace Maritimo as your vendor. You right click on the product group, you group this by division or product group. By choosing the additional division, you can just delete it. And remember, deleting this from this screen is not deleting the additional product group from the RFQ file. It's just deleting it from here. So in this case I'm not going to delete this, and I'm going to send all the items without choosing anything to both suppliers, because when you choose a department like this, when you choose a division, or even if you choose one single item here like this, by deleting it, by deleting this line or this group, you are just not sending those items or those divisions or those product groups to that supplier. So in this case we want to send all the items, every single item, to both of our suppliers. And what we need to do before sending it, we should click on print. And remember, if you want to send the email, you can always keep this as open or yes, otherwise it's not going to send any email. So remember to always keep this as yes or open. And in the advanced printing option, Here you can see your mail body, which again all of you guys can reach me anytime to get the template. Here I'm trying to find the template to just copy and paste it to the email body box here. Sorry for keeping you waiting. Yes, here is the body, the template. So you can see some percentages here, which or some kind of code, and these numbers here are going to take the necessary information from what you filled while you were opening your file here, your project here. So just don't worry, these are not going to be sent like this. These are some kind of codes, and just by putting them one time here, it's all going to be saved. So for now, we are just sending all the emails to our own email address here, just to avoid any mistakes and to see how the system is working now. So after I wrote my own email address here, and after pasting the email body, I click on OK, and the final OK here, and we wait for the system to send the email. So here in my mailbox, after going to the sent items of my mailbox, yes, I can see that the vessel name, the port, the country, and the RFQ number and everything. And as you can see here, those numbers are not here, and they are just using the information that we filled while we were opening the file. So no problem here. And we can also check the Excel file here. So as you can see, this is the Excel file that the vendor or the supplier is going to receive from our side. As you can see, we didn't remove any division or product group, and we sent all those product groups and items here. So now the supplier can quote and send us their best offer